The Cardinals are coming off a thrilling comeback victory in overtime over the Las Vegas Raiders Sunday. However, now it's time to turn the page and prepare to host the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Los Angeles Rams, who have arguably two of the top players in their respective positions on this roster. Alongside Drew Stanton, I'm Dani Sureck. We're going to talk about those key matchups on this episode of Card Stock presented by SeatGeek. Drew, the Cardinals are very familiar with their divisional opponent. They are very familiar with three-time Defensive Player of the Year defensive tackle Aaron Donald. If the key for this offense is to wear Donald down, how do they do that?
Well, it's difficult, right? That's what everybody wants to do, and that's always the mission. When you go in and you start a week out, you say, okay, how can we negate what their best players bring to the table, right? It's hard to negate what Aaron Donald does because he moves around. He's so good internal. He can move to the outside. He can create all these things. What teams typically try to do, they try and run right at him. If you take a look at these clips right here, you can see they are trying to purposely run the ball downhill at him. They're trying to get weight on him. They're trying to get a push on him. There's double teams. You're seeing all of these things. They're coming at him from different angles, so his head has to be on a swivel. You are trying to drain that energy as quickly as possible because he is a smaller guy by stature. His motor is what makes him so good. His explosiveness is what makes him so good. So if you can negate some of those things, if you can slow that down, that's really going to be the key to try and slow his pass rush down. You get the ball out quick, you try and frustrate him. Don't let him get into a rhythm, right? We saw that last year in that home game when he got a sack early on. That just revs his motor up. If you can stop him from getting even started, right, and which is a difficult task, but why they had success week 4 in LA last year and really held him at bay was because he never even got going, and that's the key.
In the 3 games that the Cardinals and Rams played last season, 2 in the regular season, 1 in the playoffs, the Cardinals only got that win in week 4. In that game, Donald did not record a single sack, tackle for loss, or quarterback hit. In those other 2 games where the Rams walked away with the win, Donald combined for 3.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits. Definitely key for that offense in slowing him down. When you look at the other side of the ball, they still have a force to be reckoned with in wide receiver Kupp, who earned the Triple Crown last season, leading the league in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. However, in that first matchup, he was held to a season-low 64 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns. How can the Cardinals shut Kupp down again?
Whew. I mean, we said last week, right, the key was to stop Davante Adams. The Raiders almost stopped Davante Adams. That's not going to happen this week. The play calling, the 2-ways, the 3-way goes that he has within the framework and structure of a play is what makes him so difficult to defend. Last year, we were fortunate to catch him in week 4. They were still trying to figure out the chemistry. How did he fit into the offense? How did Matthew fit into the offense, really? And so when you look at where this offense has gone from that time period, it's so difficult to stop him. You try again, in and out him, you get 2 guys on him, but he's so good at identifying coverage. He sees coverage as good as quarterbacks see coverages. And on top of that, right, you add Allen Robinson to the mix. They knew they had to go out and get a compliment for him. They haven't been able to implement him into the offense as he would have liked to this point. But now, again, you have another week of film of doing that. So everybody knows Kupp is the focal point, right? Matthew's going to feed it to him. When he does get aggressive, when he tries to force feed it to him, can we be around the football? Can we confuse Matthew? Turnovers are a huge indicator of how this game's turned out as well, right? We were -7 if you include 4th downs when we lost the football game. When we won the football game, you're in the plus. And when you're in the plus, you're going to put yourself in a position to win football games. Matthew's already had 5 turnovers this year. Can we create more turnovers? The pass rush helps with that, negating Aaron Donald from getting started so Kyler feels comfortable in the pocket. All of these things matter. Justin Pugh coming back is going to be a huge key to solidify that interior portion of our offensive line. So how do you stop Kupp? Man, you don't, but you try your best and you're around the football. And when the opportunity presents itself, you make the interception. Byron Murphy did a tremendous job with that last week. We need a collective group effort to make it as good as possible.
The 1-1 Cardinals looking to get their first home win of the season. They host the Rams Sunday at State Farm Stadium with a 1:25 kickoff. For Drew Stanton, I'm Dani Sureck. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Card Stock.